So, a loving welcome to Conscious Woman Being, the podcast conversations with extraordinary individuals. And it's a real joy to be in conversation with an utterly extraordinary individual today. And of course, that is Daven Lee. And
Mm.
Daven, you're familiar to so many people. You're familiar to many people tuning in and listening to
Mm.
this podcast, to this conversation, because we have spoken before.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's such a delight to be speaking with you today and really, you know, just embracing and exploring what it is to be fully alive, what it is to experience the soft, flowing, nourishing aspect that really resources us.
Mm.
And welcome.
Thank you so much, Deepika. I'm delighted to be on again. I'm delighted to be in the field with you. I felt right away this beautiful co-regulating, settling, calming. And just naming that you're in deep winter and I'm in kind of the last of high summer here in the UK. And yet there's this attunement to nature that we're both really alive to in the subtle, deep, really meaningful ways. So it's beautiful to share the space with you.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And we were speaking and starting to touch on before we hit the record button about the increasing awareness and ah, the richness of the spaciousness to really observe,
Yeah.
to be in nature, to be in the elements, and to really observe all the textures, the shades, the nuances, and I guess to really commune,
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm.
receive what nature is wishing to share with us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what's coming to me is actually remembering that we're part of nature. I've been noticing, use the word observe, and I've been noticing how much I feel like, oh, I'm getting to visit nature, or I'm studying, not studying, like, studying as in just observing and witnessing. But nature is looking at us. We're part of we are in the nature system. And that's been said before, but really finding the place in me where that lands of I'm actually in the nature system. Um, the rhythms of nature inherently affect me. Obviously, I'm different in different environments. And also that nature is responding to me. There is an exchange that's happening. Um, when my practice, particularly since I've been here, has been calming my mind, resting my eyes on something in stillness. And I know I've come into a certain sort of presence when I recognize that the thing I'm looking at is actually looking back at me also.
Mm.
Whether that's a plant or a rock or the stream. And it's this really delightful little moment of presence.
And there's such a recognition of interconnectedness
Yeah.
in that, because as I'm listening to you share that, I'm thinking, well, how often am I so absorbed in identifying with self
Mm-hmm, 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 mm-hmm.
as a separate unit, as a separate living being, that I never even pause to consider
Mm-hmm.
that nature is watching me.
Mm-hmm.
Nature is breathing me. Nature
Mm-hmm.
is sensing.
Yes. Yes.
Me.
Mm.
Mm.
There's such a narrative of our separateness, of our specialness, of our, and that keeps the mind going. The preoccupations with the human world and the built world and the manufactured world, whatever that is, which incidentally is also part of nature because it's all taking place within the earth system. So it's still a part of nature. Um, but it's telling us that we're separate from nature. And obviously, all the things about nature being, you know, uh, raw materials for us or not sentient, anything but sentient and interactive and interwoven. It's almost like, wow, I just want to melt the borders of my body even more
Mm.
to feel to open to this. And
Mm.
it does require the calming of the mind. The swirl of my thoughts immediately kind of creates that separation for me.
Mm. Mm.
And the mind is still part of it too. There is no part that gets cut off, right?
Indeed.
Yeah.
Indeed. Indeed. As it's an elemental component of our
Mm-hmm.
humanity, of our
Mm-hmm.
beingness. It's all part of this interconnectedness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So nature to me is so fully alive. And I can remember years ago when I was at a lecture, an anthroposophical medicine lecture, and I was doing the postgrad in it. And the presenter was speaking about or posing pu- putting it forward that the purpose of our being here, of taking birth,
Mm,
is to become more fully alive.
mm, mm, mm,
And I have really contemplated over the years, what did that mean to become
mm,
more fully alive?
mm,
And I often experience that question pulsing in.
mm,
And to me, nature is dominion. Nature is agency. And
mm,
so nature is sovereignty because nature does not judge.
mm,
Nature embraces all,
mm, mm,
all
mm,
parts,
mhm, mhm.
without good, bad, this, that,
Right.
embraces the wounds, embraces the divine, embraces it all. And so I'd love to ask you, what's your understanding? What's your relationship to nature
Mm,
as sovereign
mm,
and
mm,
sovereignty
mm,
as
mm.
human?
Woof.
That's a very long sentence, but
I mean, it's a huge question, isn't it?
Mm.
I feel like sovereignty. Oh, this is beautiful. Dive into this. First of all, I just want to say that the more I talk about sovereignty, the more I'm learning about it. Like it's leading me. And it's a very juicy word that's in the field a lot lately, I think. So to really drop into it as a deep question is very powerful to me. So what I'm feeling is that sovereignty is both the this unique aliveness, to use that word you brought in, this unique energetic imprint that we've brought that is radiating and receiving and everywhere we go, but it is also part of the whole. So it's this understanding simultaneously of the unique, um, pattern that we're carrying, and its requirement here on earth in this moment through us, and the knowing that we're part of the whole. And the word that actually comes to mind with sovereignty is responsibility.
Mm.
So to be sovereign, so, um, uh, the word sovereign is connected a lot with, kings or queens, the sovereign, the ruler.
Yes.
Um, and I've come to that word through this understanding in Chinese medicine that the heart is the sovereign leader of the body. So, Chinese medicine uses a lot of that sort of human structure, power structure, to understand these different relationships of
Mhm.
the organ systems and of the energy of the organ systems. But to suddenly bring in a sort of idea of a power structure into the heart is the sovereign leader. Like the heart is not ego driven. It cannot possibly be ego driven. The heart cannot be mad for power. It really turns this idea of sovereignty as we understand it in this sort of human world into this really inherent responsibility. So, what does it mean if the heart is actually responsible for the well being and the well running of the whole, land and of your body and your being, at least in physical form and in relationship to all of life. So, so responsibility of sovereignty is a responsibility of knowing what you are carrying and saying, yes, I'm carrying this. So, and the responsibility of being in relationship to everything else and being one with everything else. And there's so many ways that we deny that responsibility or are afraid of it. Or we haven't grown into it. There's a moment, there comes a time. And if you're not ready, you're not ready. But what I'm feeling, and this is why this stepping into sovereignty is suddenly the center of my work right now and what I'm inviting women into. Because we know that we're at a huge tipping point, and in this tipping point, there is incredible potential on offer here. And my sense and what I'm hearing from others, it's being reflected back to me is, do you want to step into this potential? And if so, we must step into our full responsibility to be who we really are. So the stories of not enoughness or the wounded parts of ourselves, which are precious, they don't get banished or ignored or neglected, but they come into a different relationship with the part of you that is actually here with your full gifts and says, I may not know what to do, but I know what to do. I know
Mm.
how to be here.
Mm.
And yeah, I'll just pause there.
Ah, it's so full. It's so full and beautiful. You have brought such richness and the textures and qualities of this being in the ultimate divinity and
Mm,
taking, I love the your use of the word responsibility for the innate intelligence
mhm, mhm, mhm,
that governs your entire instrument, all aspects of you.
mm.
You know, when you said, "If you're not ready, you're not ready."
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Mhm.
There's no force. There's no,
Yeah.
buses keep coming around.
And so
Metaphorically, like, when you're ready, you're ready.
yeah.
You choose. So, essentially, what I was hearing you say is, you choose, and it's
Mm,
your choice.
mm,
And one of the beautiful things about choosing yes to being with self in such a way,
mm,
and the potential of the whatever's wishing to make itself known and emerge from the field of potential and possibility. When you choose, by nature of choosing, there's an exhilaration of coming to realize that all your wounded parts are beautifully part of this sovereign space.
mm, mm, mhm, mhm.
There's nothing more or less good or bad, loved or unloved. They
Mhm,
simply are part of all that you are in your greatness.
mm.
But the word responsibility, I so appreciated that because that's a big word.
Yeah.
Like, it's thrown around a lot. Who's responsible?
Right.
Somebody take responsibility. I'm going to make you responsible. To take responsibility is, it's mighty. Well, that's been my
Mm,
experience. You know,
mm.
really, oh, I have to take, only I can take responsibility for myself.
Yes.
The business of being me is each individual's business is their business of being responsible
Yeah.
to self.
Mm. Mhm, mhm.
So it's such a rich field to step into, and to live with awareness as your come from
Mm,
and your
mm,
now.
mm. Yeah. We need to be awake. There's an awakeness, a presence. I mean, I like the word presence even more because it doesn't have a kind of yin or yang to it to me.
Mm,
It's that abiding place where it may go deeper into yin or it may go more into yang and action.
mhm,
But it's not an unconscious place, and it's not a
mm,
place of being asleep. It's a place of
mm,
um there's a phrase that's used to describe the state that newborn babies will go into if they've had a fairly easeful birth right after they are born, which is quiet alert.
mm,
When they are fully present, it's this beautiful moment of bonding where they are looking for eye contact. Their nervous system is calm, so they can actually receive, they can be present. They're not in distress,
mm,
they're not in need, they're available to connect. It's very beautiful. So
mm,
that's being available to connect. Um, and what's interesting, yeah, we're not ready until we're ready. And there seems to be a pretty some consensus that things have been speeding up in the last few years. And so uh, the message that I'm wanting to put out there is that more people are ready than they may realize.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is not about perfection. It is not about never making mistakes. And the part that our wounds have played in asking for our attention and us attending to them is that that has trained us now to be in our sovereignty. And any idea of, oh, finally this thing is healed. It's not really how healing works. It's it's that in the process of healing, your resources, and the word resource, that's a word that's used in biodynamic craniosacral therapy, which I'm a practitioner of. You know, it's the I love it when I think about natural resource, the resource, the infinite resource. You know, water is a resource. So the place in us that is nourishing and um that's nourishing and um strong and clear. It's like that well, as that well begins to fill, uh, we find that even though the wounds may still be there, we now have the resource to actually take our attention somewhat away from the wounds and really onto this other bigger thing, which to me is um, whatever this paradigm shift is that we are in, that we are being called forth
Mm,
to co-create.
mm.
To move out of a sense of helplessness, powerlessness. It's other people's job. This is why it happened. Here's what's wrong with it. To what is my part to do? Um, yeah. It's also moving away from this thing of why aren't you doing this, or why aren't more people doing this? It's like, what is mine to do?
Yeah.
And I also want to say that so I have big energy, and so I feel big, that feels big to me, like, you know, big on the magnitude of how we think about, whatever. Many people, big area, whatever, big. But the fact is that there is no big or little in this. If we're showing up fully as who we are, whatever we're doing, it's equal isn't even the right word. It's
Mm.
all on an order of magnitude that's needed right now. So yeah, does that make sense?
It does make sense. Yes, yes, it does. And it's interesting that the whole sense of time, feeling like in the exhilaration of it, there's almost a pressure. It's pressurizing. Many people are feeling the pressure build,
Yes.
build, and build. And so it is a beautiful opportunity to become more resourced,
Mm-hmm.
more aware and awake of the interconnectedness of self to nature, because then the elusive question of what do I want? what what are my gifts? What am I even here to do? Simply become more tangible.
Mm. Mm.
And with presence, with being present, like the newborn baby that you described, time actually slows down
Yes.
because, and it's almost like, am I moving backwards or am I talking slowly? Or because in presence, this whole concept of time takes on such a different relationship.
Oh, yeah.
So I feel that the rate and speed at which things are moving and people are experiencing time whizzing by is part of this rich, wonderful,
Mm,
compelling or not invitation
mhm, mhm, mm, mm.
to get present to what's alive under the hood, under the bonnet. To be with sensations. That's another thing about being in nature is that you're, do you experience when you're in nature that there's a greater awareness of the sensations that are alive in you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't I can't breathe in the air enough.
Mm,
I'm so in rapture of all the different things I'm smelling
mm,
and the different temperatures and the different, I mean, moisture, dryness. It's astonishing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Mm,
Yeah. My little container doesn't feel big enough to take it all in. I just want to, yeah.
yeah. There's it's certainly, it's my experience that, these beautiful, precious, precious moments in nature, which can be every moment because we're never not in nature, really.
Mm-hmm.
um, it's such an opportunity to get over yourself and
Yeah.
and all the, like it or not, unconscious or not, the
Mm-hmm.
superiority,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
grandiosity,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
specialness.
Specialness.
And what a relief.
Right. Like, please
What a
take this
welcome
from
relief. It's like, oh,
me.
wow.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And again, there's the responsibility of who we are and what we're bringing, which is special or individual or unique.
Mm,
So it keeps turning, of course, back onto itself over and over and over again,
mm,
in my experience.
mm,
I also want to say that, I mean, nature makes this so much easier, but to move about in a city or among people carrying this is is essential. Um, yeah, that's kind of where the rubber can hit the road, of just like, wow, okay, how do I continue to have my senses open and be sovereign, not be carried off by the other energies of other people, to stay centered and actually in relationships with others, you know, um, how can I continue to stay sovereign and be in relationship?
Mm.
I think nature, well, I mean, I'm not in sort of life-threatening nature. I'm in very mild, nature. So to me, nature is not threatening and is is very gentle and easy to be with, to be sovereign with, you know. Anyhow, but when we're really challenged by something that, where we can feel that pull to come out of ourselves, how do we stay in ourselves? And we're open to learning. So, sometimes it can feel like staying in ourselves means we have to rigidly stake our claim. And then it becomes an ego, then it's an ego structure that's protecting something. And I mean, there's a purpose to that too. But um to to feel the no, this is who I am. And I can also learn and grow and find out more about who I am. It's a dance. It feels like a little wavery dance.
Yes. Yeah. And so, whatever environment we find ourselves in,
Mhm.
whether it's, the heart of a city,
Mm. Mhm.
in a really loud, busy, heightened,
Mhm.
sensory,
Mhm.
sensorially heightened environment, or if we're sitting alone at the ocean or anywhere in between,
Mhm.
we can still be pulled out of ourselves,
Yeah.
or we can still step more into ourselves
Mhm. Mhm.
and experience this resourcefulness
Mhm. Mhm.
that you're speaking to. So, and this is where, I love the word yin. David, with your work, like the power of the yin. Would you like to share a little about that? Because that really enables us to move with fluidity,
Mm. Mhm.
grace, and
Mm.
be in that's it, to be in the grace, to be present
Mm.
in the grace wherever we are, in
Mm.
whatever moment. And of course, in our humanity, if we're in a situation that feels threatening,
Mhm. Mhm.
we will come out, potentially come out of ourselves.
Potentially. Yeah, absolutely.
But still, the degree to which we're able to respond is so
Mhm.
influenced by how established we are in our own resourced
Yeah.
connection
Yeah. Yeah.
to that which, what is it that breathes us?
Mhm.
What is it
Mhm.
that, that nourishes us? What is it that
Mm.
wakes us up or puts us to sleep?
Mm.
What is it that creates the beginning, the first breath, the last breath, and maintains us and sustains us in between?
Mm. Mm. Yeah. Oh, and I just want to add before I answer that, talk about the yin.
Yes.
The other option for when we are deeply challenged is that we drop even deeper into who we are. So
Mm,
there's the, like woof flying out, and then there's the like, really coming in.
mm,
Which to me is the kind of picture that as the warrior, who has cultivated the yin. And the yin, as I'm feeling it as we're talking about it, I mean, it's not only the well that I referred to that's our own well of resource, it's this huge well of resource that is the infinite resource. So, you know, of course you have the polarities of yin and yang. Yin being the subtle, the intuitive, the deep, the shadow, the non-linear, um, the dark, the mysterious, definitely not the realm of the mind. Yang being um, action. Um, it's like the lightning strike, or it comes. If you think about the clouds and the rain are kind of yin, and then you have this lightning strike moment that charges everything. And in a way, it's that moment is a moment of creation. You've now manifested something. Um, but the manifesting must then return back to the source. You can't just create and act and act and act and act and act without coming back and being resourced in the yin again. So I really think of the yin as the field within ourselves, the field of life, and then action arises and then returns, like this. So the yin, like we talked about, the ready, when one is ready. So a kind of readiness is actually a calling to the yang, like you're ready. It's time for some form of action, or to say yes feels like can be a yang moment. But it comes out of this deep time spent in yin. It comes out of exploring the shadow parts. Um, it comes out of recognizing that the liminal spaces of not knowing are places of, use the word grace. I love that. They're places of grace and power when we understand that they are a location, like the liminal is a place.
Mhm.
Um, when we can tune into what might feel like nothing is actually things happening in a very subtle way or a deeply underworld, underground way. Um, and we have the capacity to be with that, and then to recognize right timing, which brings us back into the yang again. So we can fall in love with the yin and never want to engage, or never want to come to fruition and action in the world. And um, that will make the yin sick. That makes the yin heavy, and it becomes a kind of morass. So it's essential, as always, to move through these and to find one's own rhythm and pacing and right timing for that. Um, the word balance is often used, but to me it's harmony, because it may be a drop of yang is all that's needed to keep this deep well of the yin healthy, or the other way around. It may be that there's a lot of yang and you need just the right dose of the yin in order to keep the yang full.
Mm.
So for me, the power of the yin, power has been associated with visible action, loud noise, the sort of outwardness of the world, something that you can measure and show and point to. And um and we aren't as acquainted, we've lost our faculty with the yin. We've lost our being adept at the yin. We're kind of we get a little lost and afraid, and we don't know where we are in the yin, which even not knowing where you are is a place. It's like, oh, I'm in the place of not knowing where I am. I can actually land here, you know. So we don't see it as powerful. It's seen as sort of weak or ineffectual, or it doesn't conform to timetables. So therefore, it feels like it's not doing anything. And to understand the power of what's happening by a whole different I by a whole different measurement, which is that it can't be measured, um, is to access that power. And that makes the yang actions much more potent.
Mm, yes. So, what would be, are there practical ways? Are there succinct, simple, practical ways
Mm,
that you can bring into daily life to cultivate this right relationship,
mm,
cultivate this harmonious dynamic
yeah,
so
yeah.
that these qualities are adapting themselves
Mm,
as and when
yeah,
meant to for you.
yeah. So for me, one of the great portals is the body. And I came into this work through Qigong, which is, you know, a form of really movement meditation that is also that's moving energy, that and that is modeled after the energies of nature. So it's slow, it's deep, and that for me gave me a felt sense of the yin within myself and from nature as a reflection back. So, um, so I recommend Qigong. But the most immediate thing is that getting quiet and opening your senses and just noticing what you notice. And it can take time because the mind can be so busy. But you're using your body, the senses are of the body, the initial senses, and then you begin to have subtler senses where you're saying, well, I sense something here. And I have sensations in my body, maybe as I'm sensing it, but it's also um, not a tangible experience. So to begin to allow the space to tune into that quietness, um, and to actually come into a different relationship with it. What if this quietness is as powerful as my to-do list?
Mm,
This quietness is actually a place where creation is sourced from. And it actually allows different things to happen in the field, um, that then when I do come back to work, things may be much more, they may move much more quickly, or I may see solutions that I didn't know were there. Or the things that I thought were issues are no longer things I need to even put my attention on anymore.
yeah.
Another way of saying it is also the calming of the nervous system. The power of the parasympathetic nervous system going into the deep rest and stillness, not dissociation, but
Mm,
that presence, that quiet, alert state, is that it kind of reorganizes everything. It reorganizes not only your own nervous system and how you feel in your body, but it reorganizes your perspective and it reorganizes the field.
Wow. That is so stunning what you have just said. And hence the experience of suddenly asking oneself,
Mm,
hang on, could it be that this sitting quietly is as significant as the to do list?
absolutely.
And that in itself brings an incredible opportunity because there's the grip of a belief and or a perception
Yep.
suddenly starts to become pulses a little differently. There's a little space for reorganizing
Yeah. Yeah.
and attuning.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I want to come back to, we were talking about what we can feel in nature, but then when we're encountering, you know, the human landscape or the busyness or um, things that have the potential to take us out of that place. And where my work comes in is how do we stay sovereign? How do we stay connected to the power of the yin and come into entirely different relationships with um, those parts of life? Actually, it's both. Some people are on the spectrum where they are trying to avoid, they want to be in the yin all the time and they want to avoid the sort of,
Mhm.
daily things that we need to deal with, money, speaking our truth and our relationships, um, showing up in spaces and speaking out as who we really are. And then there are people on the other side which are have fear of the subtle world and tuning into guidance, and realizing their connection to the invisible world, whatever that is, the elementals, the
Mhm.
ancestors, their own higher self. So the, I have an offering coming up called Embodying Your Sovereign Queen, the Power of the Yin Journey, 6-month journey for women online. And we're specifically going to move through each month, focusing on a different aspect of this. Um, oh, and we haven't even said this, our sexuality is a big one.
Yes, yes, we
Yes,
haven't even
sexual
gotten
soul.
there.
Yes. So 1 month there's our sexual soul and our sexual energy. What is it to come into a very different and sovereign relationship with that part of ourselves? And then there's a month working with guidance and intuition and the subtle realms. Then there's a month on money, and value also.
Mm.
Both this idea of the material money stuff and the inherent value that we carry and believe ourselves to be. And then there's our voice and authentic communication and having the kinds of conversations that we may have avoided for many years, or finding our sacred no and our full hearted yes. So, um, yeah, bringing this understanding of sovereign, and all of this is building the sense of sovereignty.
Yeah, yeah, and, like, as I'm listening to you, it's like, "Oh, wow, that sounds great," and there's also there's a part of me going, "Ooh."
Ah,
You know, like, that's big,
yeah,
that's really taking responsibility.
it is exactly. We're not victims here. We
Yeah.
are. fully responsible, and what do we want to create, and what is possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So your sexual soul, can
Yes.
you yeah, yeah. What is it?
What is it? Well, um, I always hesitate to define it because I feel that everybody needs to find what that is for themselves. But
Well, what could you say
yeah.
that, okay. Sorry, I cut you off then. I was just going
Mm,
to say I can reframe that to how does sovereignty, one's
mm,
own sovereign self and
mm,
sexuality
mm.
exist in the same field?
Oh, yes, yes. They must exist in the same field, and I believe our sexuality leads us to our sovereignty if we listen to it and trust it. So, my feeling about our sexual soul is that it is a taproot to our essence. It is an expression of our essence. And it is one of the most obvious and, I would say, well, either glorious, I mean, not either or, but the polarities are, glorious, beautiful, or kind of excruciating ways in which we see where we have separated from our sovereignty. So in other words, it's a taproot to this source. It is an incredible barometer, and it's often one that really gets people's attention because our sexual soul is so connected to um who we're meant to be. So in other words, our longing, you know, so for example, someone may have decided, I can't, I'm not going to be sexual anymore. It's it's frustrating, or it's uncomfortable, or I don't trust any, whatever it is. And yet the longing persists. And the longing is what guides us back and says, please look at this, because this is not just a longing for sex, it is a
Mm.
longing for your life force essence. Um, and it doesn't have to be expressed sexually. And we're sexual beings, whether we are in relationship to others or not. What we've been talking about the senses in nature. And what I was saying about wanting to, melt the borders of my body, or that I don't have my senses. I want my senses to be able to take in even more of the sense and the temperature and the texture and the feeling. It's like that's eros. That's the sexual soul, wanting um to merge with the world and be merged with. So, when something is off and it is not us, we're not, what I mean is, when we're not in our sovereignty and our authenticity in this, it really rubs us the wrong way, like literally, right? It really doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And it's kind of devastating. Um, and then as we claim that and then become embody it, and it becomes part of us, well, then we can play, and there's lots of room for trying things out, or things not working, or oh, this, but it's just an incredibly sensitive barometer to our truth, and yes, our sovereignty. We have this idea that others are supposed to give us pleasure. It's ridiculous. It's like we get to embody pleasure and meet others in pleasure. And then there's this dance of giving and receiving. And the giving and receiving dance, how do we do that in sovereignty? So often we're giving from a place where we might not wanna give, or we're receiving something that this isn't exactly what I want. I actually want this other thing. So being able to actually have the skills, this is where actual, real world skills of languaging, communication, a kind of structure for having a conversation, for exchanging touch can actually free up um, access to this source and bring you into your sovereignty. And then it ripples out into all aspects of your life. So what I love about working with the sexual soul is that it goes everywhere.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was a lot. Did that make sense?
Ah, wonderfully so. The experience of being in your own body
Yeah.
day in, day out, the experience of your relationship to yourself, your relationship to others, the potential for how much more alive
Mm.
and present you can be with the exploration
Mm. Mm. Mhm. Mhm.
of what you have just shared is utterly game changing.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's kind of like, oh, this isn't taught. This is not taught in education
Mhm.
growing up. This is this is not really taught in personal development.
Right. Right.
What I'm hearing you share is incredible spiritual work
Mhm. Mhm.
of
Mhm.
one's own self,
Mhm.
bringing it back to, to responsibility. It's like, whoa,
Mm. And the
who am
word
I
we
here to be? What am I here to experience?
Yes. The word we haven't spoken yet today is freedom also.
We
And
haven't
free
used it once, have we?
No, we haven't. This friend of mine said recently, I don't know if she was quoting somebody else, but it just took my breath away in its directness, which is we are all living in cages with doors open.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I really want to fly out that open door, and I really want to invite others to fly out that open door. And it's there are 1,000 moments where we get to make a choice to fly out the door. 1,000 little moments.
Yeah.
And and those are as equal to the big moments. It's like every moment of making that choice is exponential for the self and for all of us. So there's that again, that the responsibility for yourself, and you're also in service to all when we do that.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And accessing and really cultivating a living quality of relationship with your sexual soul
Mm.
is coming to understand this concept of service.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
We could just continue and continue. David, it's just so good to be in conversation with you. It's
Oh.
so I feel so awake. And
Mm.
I'm sure so many people listening are just having these little truth bells in the cells,
Mm,
waking up. Ding, ding,
I love that.
ding.
The bells are ringing.
The bells are ringing. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. It's beautiful to be in this with you, and, we always go I mean, I remember this from last time, going into a kind of a timeless
Yeah.
space where we're just can pull in,
Yeah.
respond, and yeah, it's very
Yeah.
beautiful.
It's too much to be contained in one conversation.
Yeah, we're just we're saying, "Look, this is one piece of all of this."
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
thank you
Thank you
so much.
so much.
Mm.
So much love to you.
Oh, same to you.